Brandon, we are back into the routine. Kids are in school. Night times are our bedtimes are established. Waking up I can't tell you how hard the summers are being out of routine.
I love summer. Favorite season by far. But being back in a routine, like I'm not I don't love school.
No.
But I love routine. Something about being up in the morning and going and accomplishing. You sleep so much better. You're exhausted by the end of the day. And does your daughter, is she pretty good about bedtime?
Oh yeah. She told me as we were getting back into school, I'm like, what are you most excited about? She's like going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. I'm like, you are not my daughter.
You have a little adult in your house.
But yeah, no, it's been awesome. Your kids are rocking and rolling.
Yeah, school's good. We just busy with football season, cheer, friends, life, just high school.
Yeah.
The routine, being back in routine is good.
I'm excited about our episode today.
I am.
Because this guest is the opposite of what we strive for in routine. She doesn't have any
routine. She has zero routine. I don't even know where in the world she is right now.
No. When we talked to her, she might have been in Belize. She might have been in Iceland. Or maybe she changed it up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think she is in Belize or was. And then from there, she's going to Maine. Which, have you ever been to Maine?
Nope.
It's pretty much Canada. Which, speaking of Canada, did you see this? You know where I'm going?
Yeah.
We have a following in Canada on the Missoula podcast. Like we're really international now. We are in Canada.
What's so funny is we did create a local podcast.
Yeah.
And we've never been more popular overseas in
Great
North
Britain,
America.
Germany, and now Canada. Like this is growing each week. We're growing in Missoula too, which is great and we appreciate, but the international following, like the Missoula really podcast, world renowned. Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
It is crazy. Well, whoever's in Canada, we appreciate you.
Do you like Canada?
It's beautiful.
Like it in the Olympics? Like, do you cheer for Canada or do you boo Canada?
Oh, no, I'd say I'd boo them.
Oh, I totally boo Canada.
Yeah.
It's fun.
America's hat.
Yeah.
They're better than us at hockey.
And they beat us, but then they're like, sorry.
Yeah, they're too kind.
They are kind. But yeah, anyway, back to our guest. Hunting in Maine, zero routine. Jess McGlothlin. Did I get that right?
Nailed
McGlothlin. What an amazing story.
Yeah. Yeah, this being her home base, but all of the amazing things she gets to do. She's so ambitious, and what a cool life.
Yeah.
In another life, I would have liked to have lived how she does.
Ambitious, adventurous, scary situations. Like, I'm her parents. Like, I can't believe this is the life my daughter has.
Yeah. She's the real deal. When you think about like a tough Missoulian woman, this Jess comes to mind. So you're really going to like this episode. I'm really excited for you to listen up. Jess, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time in airports.
Yes.
Where you head next?
Friday, I pack up and head to Belize for a fly fishing shoot. So trading our kind of cool fall weather here in Missoula today for the hot tropics. And then head directly up to Maine to photograph a bear shoot after that.
Belize to Maine.
So that's
what do you mean a bear shoot?
A bear hunt.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a fun packing challenge for sure. Packing like Belize fly fishing to Maine bear hunting.
Yeah, you're going from hot to
very
cold.
Quickly. Yeah.
On one trip. Have you been to Belize before?
Yes, I work there often.
Really?
So luckily that's like a known entity.
Yeah. Have you been there, Stephen?
No.
I've been to Belize.
You got to go, Stephen. It's amazing.
Come on.
What does one do other than shoot a fly fishing?
Oh, snorkel and dive and swim and drink cocktails on the beach.
Is this embarrassing? Is Belize in Central or South America?
Central, not embarrassing at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Caribbean. Think Caribbean, tropical, nice water.
I really don't know much about Belize other than our cruise stopped there for a day.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
So I say it was
Nice.
in Belize. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Have you been to all the continents?
I'm still waiting on Antarctica. All my
Okay.
work's fly fishing, travel, work dictated. And so I'm still working on an angle for Antarctica. There's got to be something to get me down there at some point.
We just had someone on the podcast a couple weeks ago that book trips Antarctica. It was Katie.
Oh, yeah.
Adventure Life Missoula. Book trips. Yeah.
I've got to connect with Katie then.
Connect with Katie. Adventure Life. I know lots of penguins.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Penguin shoot.
Where's your favorite place to go and shoot? I know you're working a lot when you're there, but I'm guessing you get a little bit of time to have fun as well.
It depends on the client. Some shoots, like some work trips, there's no downtime, but it's still very fun. I was able, in 2015, I think, to help open up a fishery on a remote atoll in the South Pacific called Anna. And we just pulled a bunch of like professional fly anglers together, which is a job. They're actually guys who just make a living running around fishing. And then fisheries biologists. And they dropped us on this atoll in the South Pacific and said, you have a week. Good luck. See what you see. And we were eating like raw bonefish and coconut milk 3 meals a day and living with the island crew on the island, sleeping on the beach. It was fantastic. And it was the right crew to do that with, too.
She said it was fantastic. I'm over here like, oh no.
It was great.
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for you.
So I got, my feet got infected with cuts from the coral. Like photographers, we're always going places we shouldn't go and doing things we shouldn't do to get the shot. It's terrible. And I always end up in foreign country hospitals and came back, walked through LAX holding my flip-flops barefoot because my feet were so swollen. I couldn't get in my flip-flops. But it was still one of my favorite shoots. Because again, it was the right group of people to do something like that with.
Okay, well, take us back to the beginning, how you become you, I guess. Were you always just, I want the crazy adventures where I end up in the foreign hospital? Like, how does Jess become Jess, this crazy traveler, photographer, getting hurt all the time? How did you become you?
It's a long and complicated story, and I'll try and trim it. I'm a Montana kid. Was born and raised up in Columbia Falls, a horse kid. So we had a horse facility where we boarded and trained horses.
Are you Grizz fan?
Ambivalent.
Oh.
Honestly, which I know is not a popular thing, but I live in Missoula, but I stay away from I didn't go to college, so I stay away from the collegiate
ambivalent
rivalries.
is better than the other team, so we'll take it.
I did live in Bozeman for a long time, and I didn't claim the Cats then, so.
Okay. We can't say the C word on the podcast.
All right. Yeah. I'm banned now.
It's all right. No. So you grew up in Columbia Falls.
Yeah, I grew up in Columbia Falls. Horses, trucks, tractors. Great way to grow up. High school rodeo around the state of Montana. I knew my first boyfriend was serious when he could pull his like gooseneck 3-horse trailer through the Wendy's drive-through at 15. Like Montana upbringing, right?
Wow.
And
sounds like a country song.
Yeah. Right? It's probably somewhere along the line isn't a country song. And then kind of wanted to travel, got the travel bug, didn't travel much as a kid, but said, okay, how can I turn what I know, my horse knowledge, into travel? And took a job in Canada and then in Europe training horses at 17. So
wait, at 17? So
17.
you did you drop out of high school?
I was homeschooled in high school,
okay,
which was fantastic because I got through basically an associate's degree in high school and could just pack up and go. And I always learned better by doing. I'd rather be doing something instead of staring at a book and thinking about doing something, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that.
So packed up, moved to Sweden, and that was kind of the first experience of international travel. It was awesome. I showed up there and had like a car and an apartment to myself and just figured out how to live overseas. And Sweden's a really easy place to live as an American.
How many countries have you been to?
I don't know, to be honest. I'd have to count them up. 20 something, I'm sure. 30, I don't know. I counted them up. I have a paper map at home that I circle each country when I come home, but I've never added them up.
Crazy. Yeah. So you're off to Belize next.
Off to Belize.
What's that look like? You land in Belize. Are you just documenting somebody else's fishing excursion? Are you there fishing yourself? Like what happens when you hit the ground?
Belize is different because there's a lodge there that I help manage the team of fly fishing guides. So I come down and we'll like show up and kind of help troubleshoot and manage this team of 18 Belize guides who luckily listen to the gringa who's done this before and roll with the punches. But this time I'm actually going down to kind of touch base and help manage them, solve a few problems, but also get some fishing time myself, which I'm really excited. I'm shooting a few stories and have a couple products I'm shooting for clients, but it's actually like I get to hold a rod, which is not as common as I would like it to be.
Sure. Do you have any just great fishing stories?
So many. We could spend too much of the podcast.
Give us one.
Oh, that French Polynesia shoot, the Anna, where we were sleeping on the beach and eating the raw fish. the last day, it was a shoot for Costa Sunglasses, which we see a lot of. So it's a high profile client shoot. You know, the creative director's there. We've got this whole crew. And I was shooting hard, like nonstop working. Everyone would go drink on the beach at night and I'd go back and edit. The last day of the shoot, the client walks down to the dock, well, the beach, where we would run the boats up onto the sand, and said, "Your cameras are staying here, you're fishing." Which never happens. Like, clients are paying money for a product, they want you to work.
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, Al, I'll bring the clients and put them in the boat, just in case, or bring the cameras, put them in the boat just in case. But I do kind of want to fish." And so my cameras sat in the boat while I got to wade this beautiful flat and fish, and hooked into my first giant trevally, which is like a really well-known, difficult to catch saltwater species, and was able to land it. And some other fish that had been on my bucket list to kind of catch and take off. Um, so it was fun. It meant a lot that the client was just like, "No, you've done the job. Relax a little bit."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like these companies that are contracting with you
Mhm.
really admire the work that you do and how you manage and the organization of all of this. How do you go from being a horse
Right.
gal into photography into now you're like a leadership role where
Well, this is very kind of you. We're all learning as we go, right?
sure.
No, I've been so after the horse era, I got out of horses and kind of was at a bit of a loss of like, okay, what do I do with my life? And had always written. As a kid, I had written for like Highlights magazine, which is, I hope it's still around. It's that little kids magazine.
I love
It
Highlights.
was amazing.
Remember the search and find, Steven? Where like you had to like find like the pencil, like no.
Oh yeah, my childhood just came back.
Oh,
to
It's
the
so
doctor's
great.
office, dentist's office. You set
Yeah.
with the highlights, and they call your name, and you're so frustrated because you have to go back and you just needed to find the apple.
You got to sneak that magazine back with you. That's the
That's
key.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
You
so,
got published in Highlights.
So I got published in Highlights.
what did you write about in highlights?
I have no idea. I'd have to look it up. My mom has the clip somewhere, I'm sure. I hope.
That's
But
amazing.
published in Highlights, got away from the writing for a while, and then they were going to put it's very specific, put a hydroelectric dam at Hebgen Lake near West Yellowstone, which most of us listening to this are Montanans. We know the history of Hebgen, big landslide, like core Montana history. And a hydroelectric dam just didn't seem like a great idea. So I think I was 18 at the time and got kind of self-righteously pissed off. I was like, I'm going to break this story. I'm going to help stop this. The guy who was developing it was an Australian company. He wouldn't take any press interviews. And I was able to finagle a press interview with him in person at a cafe in Bozeman because he was in Montana overseeing the project. I think he thought I was like a college kid who just wanted an interview and wasn't going to do much about it. Got the interview, wrote the article, snuck on the site to get photos to be used with the article because the editor wouldn't run it without it. And that ran in what's now a defunct magazine called American Angler. And the dam, it was later used many years in court that helped raise awareness, but that article was used to help overturn the project. So it never happened. And that for me was kind of this light bulb moment of, I know I like words. I know I like writing. This photography thing is kind of cool, and look what they can do together. And
that's huge impact. You said you were 18?
I was 18.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
That
Yeah.
is
And a kid
huge impact.
I was working 3 jobs, training horses still for other clients, working at Victoria's Secret, and selling fishing licenses and hunting licenses at Sportsman's Warehouse. So like broke. I think my grocery budget was not even $100 a month.
A lot of rice and beans.
A lot of rice and beans. Yeah. So we prioritize, I guess, what's important.
That's incredible.
So was it that's just I can't even imagine at 18 years old. So let me give me a second just
it's like the Greta Thunberg of like a generation
of
ago.
journalism.
Well, it felt really cool. As
That's
a
awesome.
young kid, I was like, I enjoy this. I know I have some skill set here that it was published, so it must be halfway decent. And it can make an impact.
And it took more work back then because you didn't have all the social media platforms and Twitter and like you're not connecting. Like you actually wrote, published, and then to hear that it was used in court and
it was
the
wild.
expert witness.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you didn't think at that point journalism is my direction. I'm going to go to college and learn how to be a journalist. You were just doing it.
I was just doing it. It killed my parents. My mom was a teacher. I was offered 2 full ride academic scholarships, one to U of M here in town. Came to Missoula for U of M, tried it for a week and got bored and left. So I walked away from a full ride scholarship where I was going to double major in poli-sci and Russian. And so I knew I had an interest in Russian and wanted to learn a different language, knew I had an interest in fishing industry and writing and photography. And so I thought, okay, I need to kind of figure this industry out. I'm a rural kid from Montana. I know there's a lot more to the industry than what we see here in Montana. And got a job helping manage a fly fishing lodge in very far northern Russia.
How did you find that?
I feel so inadequate right
Yeah.
now. Bilingual, like
No, my
world
Russian's terrible
traveler.
now, if that
I'm
helps.
just like, I'm over here just trying to.
Did you just like Google search? Where's the
No.
furthest place I can go?
I was like, I emailed a lot of lodges and knew like I wanted to go to Russia. I didn't want to do Kamchatka on the far eastern side of the country because it was becoming more popular with American anglers. And this other part, it's called the Kola Peninsula up near Murmansk. It's like this weird thumb of Russia that sticks off of Norway and Finland and Sweden, kind of up there in the Nordic realm. Above the Arctic Circle, like very militarized. Tourists don't really go there. But I thought, well, that would be interesting. Like I could learn a lot. And sent a bunch of emails, assuming I would never hear back from anyone. And like 6 months before the season started, they said, hey, we don't have an assistant manager for this season. Do you want to come to Russia? We think we can get a work visa done in time. And so I had a panicked rush through all the paperwork and the work visa, and my visa showed up, I think, 2 days before I flew. So it was just kind of like, sure, let's get on the plane and go and see what happens, which has turned out to be a really good career mindset. Just like book the ticket, take the ride, see what happens.
So horses, photography, world traveler, you become a writer. And so now you're writing for multiple companies, correct?
Yeah.
Photography for multiple companies and for individuals who want their trip documented.
Yeah.
You said you're taking off to Maine after Belize for a bear shoot. Is this a company event? Is this a private?
No, it's for a company on X, actually, a company here in Missoula. So shooting this story, it's a female gal who just got out of a career in SWAT in law enforcement and is now trying her hand at bear hunting. So it's a nonprofit who takes ladies who have like a military or law enforcement background out on their first hunt. So documenting it for them and then telling the story for Onyx also.
Crazy.
Are you filming and photography? Am I saying that? I might be saying
You're
that.
all good. No, I do mostly still photography.
Still, that's what I was looking for.
It's still photography.
If photography works, everyone has different jargon, and once you go international, it gets even messier.
Yeah, if you went to Belize, you would know that it's called still photography.
But no, luckily I'm writing this story and then shooting it as well. Yeah.
So it feels like you're living everybody's dream. Skipped out on the college, basically went on all these adventures and I loved what you said, stumbled upon doing what you love. Like you just kept chasing what you loved.
Right.
If somebody is listening to this that's 18 years old or 20 years old, how do they even like get a grasp on where to begin? Like you
question. I get this question a lot, especially coming through Instagram. And first thing I always tell people is there's no magic answer. Like there's no way around the work. It takes a lot of sitting down and grinding. I spent my Sunday all day yesterday sending out pitches to new international clients. So even now, 15 years in, like it's very much an outreach. And don't be afraid of the work. Like just go learn and do the thing. I think a lot of people get caught in this mental spiral of, but I don't know how to do it. Like I pick up a camera and I don't know how to take it off, portrait mode, right. Or I don't know how to write. Pick up a pen and write, or open up your computer and tap on your keyboard. Like just try it. And like I said, learn by doing has always been, maybe it's my personality, but it's been effective for me.
Wait, yeah, it seems like it. It's incredible.
Still learning. For sure.
And what makes you unique in your space? Like, what do you do different or better or something that you love that maybe others don't love and has set you apart?
Right. That's a great question. I think I market myself a lot as like words plus images. Combining those two, I find is not very common. And often with new editors, it's a bit of a discussion, promising them like, yes, I can do both at a professional level because they're used to either working with photographers or writers and the two don't overlap. I think also like working in the lodges and managing guide teams and doing the actual work in the industry in which I'm marketing myself. It's the best feeling in the world when I can show up. I was down in a country called Lesotho in the southern part of Africa this winter, and showed up at the lodge, and it was a bunch of like really nice young kind of hotshot guides who are very good at what they do. South African guys who are really fun, and they'd had a bad experience with the photographer the year prior. They were like, "It's a photographer coming. It's a woman in a camp of all dudes, like Afrikaans dudes. This is going to be a problem." And I was able to sit them down and be like, "Guys, I've run guide teams. I've guided. I'm here to hopefully get you guys some fishing days while I can photograph you and like not be a pain in your rear end." And you can just see people's like shoulders drop and they kind of relax. Because I think understandably, photographers show up to places and everyone kind of tenses.
Yeah.
You see the hair on the back of their neck go up and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a pain for me to deal with." And being able to just have that industry experience to say like, "I get it. I know your job. It's okay. I'm not here to make it hard."
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
Well, you have a ton of credibility, huge following online, incredible pictures, been published all over the place. From outside looking in, it would appear that, hey, Jess has arrived. She's figured it out. She is an expert in her field. But just hearing you talk and dream and passion, I know you haven't arrived.
I hope we never arrive.
What is next for Jess? What's the goal? What are you working towards? Where do you see yourself, 3-5 years from now?
Hopefully doing more of the same at a different level. I'm working on a project. Actually just got off a WhatsApp call before coming here with a guy where we're putting together an exploratory trip in a part of Colombia that people don't go to. And being able to do more projects like that, which are really it's hard to find places in the world now where they're untouched, that people just for political or simple safety reasons don't go.
Yeah.
And then find the right people to go explore those with. They're often not the best paying jobs. It's a hard sell for clients to be like, "Hey, we're going to go here. We're hopefully not going to end up being a bad news story. I don't know what we're going to be getting into, so I'm not sure how I can shoot your product."
Have you gotten into any scary, sketchy situations?
So many.
So many. Are your parents just constantly on edge, nervous about Jess and where she is and what's next?
They've gotten a lot more relaxed over the years, which is good. Imagine. Some of the shoots they learn about afterwards, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you be smart, right? Yeah. I'm always traveling alone, so I'm always cognizant of like, okay, very much a white female traveling alone. I need to be buttoned up. Yeah. With a lot of camera gear, which is not the best thing in a lot of these places. But you mitigate where you can. I've taken a lot of, medical and security type training courses, so I'm more prepared on that side as well, which have come in handy. Yeah. So I don't know. South America, you run into a lot of illegal drug activity. I did a trip with a bunch of guys in Peru where we did the first stand-up paddleboard descent of the Madre de Dios, which is a river in the Peruvian Amazon. And so it was basically me and these Peruvian whitewater athletes in this region that's really well known for illegal gold mining, and some other drug activities. But, we'd see the gold runners running supplies on the same river we're on. And you just, have to be aware of like, okay, this is when I had the cameras. This is when like I try to not look too obvious because obviously I don't fit into this group. And we really had no issues. The only issue we had there is on our drive in the trucks out of the jungle, 2 a.m. in the middle of the jungle, bumping down the dirt road, all of a sudden spotlights come on. And it was a random anti-narco patrol who was stopping us and being like, "Why are you guys bumping through the jungle at 2 a.m.? And my Peruvian guys were immediately like, "Get your passport, get in the front seat." Because I was kind of the golden ticket, of like American passport, female with all these guys. Obviously, I think I was woken up and a little disoriented, but not being kidnapped or anything. Right. So yeah, there's been issues. I've had helicopter crashes in Russia, and I've had like just what can go wrong will go wrong at some point. But you just manage.
Okay, another question for you, and I really, really hope you have an answer.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite photo? Do you have a picture that you took that you're like, this is it?
It's a really killer question.
I hope you have an answer.
I probably have two.
Okay, what are they?
That's great.
So I have one. It's non-fishing related. It was actually at a rodeo in Bozeman, where it's the clown, like the rough stock clown, silhouetted against the sunset, and it's this really gorgeous orange background of him in the arena, and he's like holding his hat up, and kind of doing the classic nod to the crowd.
It's awesome.
And that was just like right place, right time. It was a cloudy day and the sun dipped like in this little line of the clouds so you could get this bright sun. That was a killer one.
Sweet. Number 2?
Number 2, I have a shot of a guide who I worked with in Russia, Rory Patterson. He's Irish, very Irish. And we're in one of the Mi-8s, the big helicopters. This camp was out in the tundra, so it was all helicopter back and forth to town. And he's silhouetted against this old Mi-8 helicopter, like kind of lit by the open door. And it just shows the bench seats and how huge these helicopters are. And it was early season. Like it's ugly. We're on the tundra and it's snowy and gray and gross outside. But I just love the shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are those pictures on your Instagram?
They are somewhere. I know they're on my website.
What is your website?
JessMcGlothlinMedia.com. The last name is a bear. It's very long.
And then on Instagram, you are...
Instagram, it's same thing. It's Jess_McGlothlin_media.
Check her out. A lot of great photos there.
Thank you. A lot of fishing photos.
Yeah.
Some other ones.
You got a good audience here in Missoula that loves that.
Absolutely.
I'm just so impressed by the way you carry yourself and hold yourself and the confidence. And that comes from obviously a lot of adventures and
well, thank you.
A lot of awesome life. It sounds like the industry you're in is it male dominated? A lot of the
hugely.
Yeah. So just briefly, like, how have you been able to navigate that well? And what have you learned in the process of that?
No, it's a great question. I've always approached it with this theory of like, gender aside, I want to be the best person for the job.
Sure.
And I know I've had some editors and clients tell me like, look, as a woman, we can't send you into this situation with a bunch of guys. Which I get. Like, if they're not comfortable with that, okay. I've done some work in the Middle East, and like certain places in the world, you get more, there's other implications, cultural implications to having a female in the group. But I just try and be the best person for the job, have come in and just, it makes me push harder because I can't slack off. And then honestly, at this point, I very much prefer working with men. I've done a couple shoots where it's a lot of ladies, and guys tend to be a lot less drama. So I don't know if I can say that. I just said it on the podcast, so there we go.
You're fine. Brandon and I are not in that group. We're a lot of drama.
Lots of drama.
But no, I love, and I meet the coolest people showing up at these lodges or in different countries. Hotel bars during layovers are great. I don't really drink much, but I'll always go and like get a coffee and sit and people watch.
Do you feel like you stay connected to some of the people around the world? Like you guys meet, like you've
100%.
friends worldwide?
Yeah, I have friends who I met on a shoot in Australia last year, coming up to Missoula next summer. They've never been to the West. They want to see Montana. One of those South African guides who I mentioned earlier, he's coming up next summer to visit.
Awesome.
So we all, the right people you keep in touch with,
That's awesome.
There have definitely been some people where I am glad to get on the plane and leave them behind, but it's rare, right? People generally are pretty good.
Yeah. So with all this travel that you do, and before we get into our rapid fire questions,
all right.
Why do you have Missoula as your home base? Like, you could be anywhere,
right.
It seems like, right?
Yeah.
And a lot easier places to be?
A lot easier places. Nick and I were just talking about this. I love the new Missoula airport, but it's still a pain to connect anywhere, right?
Right.
I like Montana. I moved away for many years. I mean, lived abroad. I lived in different places in the U.S. I have a brother in Livingston who now has young kids, so it's nice to at least have proximity to them. And Missoula it's an eclectic town, right? Yeah. It's changed a lot. I mean, you've certainly seen it change over the years.
Absolutely. And I think last year I had like 40 outbound flights from Missoula.
Oof, yeah.
And so like that same question, why Missoula?
Right.
And no, the connecting flights, you either fly out of Missoula at 6 a.m. or get home at 12:30 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it takes all day to get to the East Coast.
Yeah.
But there's something about Missoula that just, it's home. It's
cozy.
An incredible community that you can't escape. So,
yeah.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Rapid
all
fire?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try my best.
First question, what is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Earliest memory of Missoula is driving down from Columbia Falls and going to, there used to be a tack store, a saddlery in the Albertsons, not far from where we are.
Yeah. What?
Do you remember that? It's long gone.
Was it Western Outfitters?
Yes. I'm impressed that you know that.
I remember that.
Coming down to Western Outfitters and coming down to hit like the box stores. Because growing up in the Flathead, we didn't have, I could come here and do Target.
Right.
And Barnes & Noble and all this cool stuff. So like Missoula trips were a big deal.
They were the big city.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jess, how about your favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
Oh, Liquid Planet, probably.
What's your favorite restaurant?
I'm not in Missoula enough to. I'm always a sucker for like Mark on a Front breakfast burritos.
Oh,
That's a go-to when I'm in town.
so good.
Yeah.
What zip code do you live in?
08.
59808.
Yeah.
All right. And as you know, you said this earlier, Missoula's eclectic. It's weird. What is the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
Oh, I think the intersection of like grunge hippie that Missoula is so well known for. I still can go to the store and run into like a legit cowboy. And then the influx of like new money that we're getting, like this weird kind of gathering of Missoula, and everyone for the most part gets along really well, which is a really cool thing.
It is really unique.
It's
Just
very unique.
Walking with my family downtown this weekend and was just shocked at the diversity in such a small area. Like we have it all, and
it's amazing.
Everybody just is relatively kind and cordial, and it's just very, very unique. Jess, what do you love the most about Missoula?
I purposefully rented an apartment like 5 minutes from the airport. So that's selfishly, considering how much I'm in and out of there.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'd say just what we were talking about.
That
like
is one
diversity.
of the nice parts of the Missoula airport is when you get home, you can get out of there so quick.
It's so
you can
nice.
get to your car and out of the parking lot. And,
it makes me happy. Quick. And I love, especially in the summer when all the Neptune planes are making their rounds. I'm an aviation geek. I fly enough. I love planes. And so listening to those planes come in, and anymore I tell the time during the day of like, oh yeah, that's the 1250 Delta flight coming overhead, because they rip like right over my apartment.
That's awesome.
And it just makes me happy. Hearing planes is a cool thing.
That's really cool. Well, you were an incredible guest. We love
thank you.
The work that you're doing. Seriously, check out her website. You're so good. You're so good, and you're even better at interviewing. So thank you for making Missoula home, and I can't wait to hear all the other adventures you go on. You're gonna have to tell us about the bear hunt.
Oh, it'll be fun.
Yeah, can we get you back on in a couple months when you're home? And
I'll have bear hunt, and then I'm in Iceland and Bolivia. So after that, we'll round back again.
Bolivia. How far out are you booked?
I'm booking into like April of 24 now, with some gaps in there.
Yeah. You get home for the holidays, or do you care about the holidays? Will you be anywhere? Or
depends. Last year I spent Christmas repatriating the South African friend who had died in Belize while we were working there. So that was my Christmas last year. I'm hoping it'll be a little chiller this year.
Wow.
So yeah.
You are probably the most interesting person in the room at all times.
I doubt it, but thank you.
But no, thank you so much, Jess, for being here. Appreciate your story and taking time out of your schedule to just meet with a couple guys on a podcast.
This is amazing. Thanks for having me. I love what y'all are doing here.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, guys.